Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 107 of the Audible Forum podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa, and they will roast coffee however you want it and then ship it to your door. And all you got to do is grind it up, brew your coffee, and love it. And I guarantee you'll love it. It's super good coffee. If you guys want to check it out, go to www.couchtowncoffee.com. Find a coffee you like and make an order. One of the cool things about Couchtown Coffee is they're offering 20% off to anybody who's listening to this podcast. So if you want, check it out and save 20% when you make an order. Enter the code word AudibleFarm. It ends up being cheaper than most coffees at the store anyways. So check that out and let them know that Audible Farm sent you their way, and you'll save yourself 20%. Thanks, Couchtown. This week's episode is episode 107, and I'm sitting down with Brian Noel Martinez, and Brian is the singer for Eugene Levy. Eugene Levy is a pop-punk band that is based out of the eastern Iowa area, and they're awesome. If you love 2000s pop-punk stuff, check it out. It's that plus like the tiniest bit heavier. It's super good stuff. They just made a new music video for their new song that is titled "I'm Like Mankind in the Way That I Never Said I Quit." That's right. That's the whole song title. So we talk about all that in the podcast. We talk about the music video. We talk about how Brian ended up finding these people and how they started Eugene Levy. Find out that he's a pro wrestling fan. It's pretty obvious based on the song title there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had a great time sitting down talking with Brian, getting to know him. And episode 107, Brian Noel Martinez from Eugene Levy.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Hey, I'm sitting down today with Brian Noel Martinez. The Noel is the easiest way to find him on Facebook, is what we've discussed prior to the podcast. So we're going to leave that in there. It's Brian Noel Martinez. You are the singer for Eugene Levy, not the person, the band.
Everybody, we've been asked a few times, like, so who's Eugene Levy? And then we're like, no, nobody's named Eugene Levy in the band. We're named after the actor.
I think that's funny that people are like, so which one of you is Eugene, or like, it's like, well, none of us, but you didn't watch any like Canadian comedy from the 80s or what? Like,
well, that was the funny thing, was when Cameron joined the band, that was one of the first things. He was like, so when do I get to meet Eugene?
Like one of you guys actually had ties to him or something like that. It's actually your cousin. Nobody knew this, but
I wish, man. I wish.
How did you end up finding the guys from Eugene Levy and starting the band or whatever?
So kind of what happened for sure was that so the band started from like the ending of my old band, right? So I was in a band called Exit Emergency.
Okay.
And we did a lot of stuff for a while, and then I knew that band was ending, and so I was already thinking, what am I going to do next? What can we do next? And the first thought was, well, my band Exit was really sad songs, and it had a lot to do about like my depression. And so I was like, let's flip that, because there's more to me than just writing lyrics about what's going on in my life. Let's try doing a fun band. And so I got a hold of my friend Nick Himes, who I knew from other bands and whatnot. I actually don't remember the first time meeting him, I guess, because I was too drunk. He tells me this, and I'm like, I don't remember that. But no, I ended up meeting up with Nick Himes, and then we talked over a beer. And then Brian Taylor, our guitarist, I knew from my old band Exit. And then at the time we had Brent. Brent was our drummer, and I met him through Nick. And that's kind of how that first version of the band started. Mm-hmm. And then we played like 2 or 3 shows, and we met Cameron, and I was like, hey, do you want to join the band too? Because I kind of just want to sing, because originally I was playing guitar and singing at the same time.
Oh, snap. And you play guitar too?
Yeah, I wrote, for the first EP that we put out, I wrote all the rhythms.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I'm not just a singer as well when we're like writing songs, and I can get into that a little bit later. But for the first version of the band, I wrote like all the rhythms and stuff like that. And then we added Cameron in, and it definitely changed the sound in like a good way. Mm-hmm. I think like we got a little bit like a heavier sound mixed with like an early 2000 sound, and that's kind of what happened with him. But once we added him, like the main core people were in there, and now we got a new drummer. His name is Shane. I didn't talk about him on TV the other day,
Oh,
so I
no.
thought I'd talk about him today.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
he was giving me crap for that, and I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out how to say his name.
oh man, I feel the same way about that too. Like I've done enough podcasts and things like that. It's tough to remember every single thing you need to remember to get it all out there. You know.
Well, and I feel so bad because like when we were playing shows, I would just say like, thank you to all the bands who played tonight out of fear of forgetting a band, like out of fear of like, and so like now or whenever shows kind of commence again and we were able to do those, I'm probably gonna write every band name down and double check I'm pronouncing it right because I don't want to mispronounce a name or anything.
That's true.
But yeah, that's where my brain always is.
No, I totally get that. Like we played a show not too long ago in Three Finger Betty, the punk band I'm in, and we were on a show with like 7 or 8 other bands. And then the singer starts trying to trudge through all the bands, and he's just like, "Thanks to these guys," and then he's like, "Thanks to these guys." Who was next? And it's like that's why I try my best to avoid doing this if I can. But
hard, man. Like at the last my old band, the last Exit show, I was naming all the bands, and the lead singer of a band called Moonlighting was in front, and I completely missed their name.
No.
And everybody around them was like pointing at him, and then like I was really drunk, but I was like, oh, and I can't forget my friends in Moonlighting.
Yep.
Like it's so stressful trying to remember everyone's name and like. But it's a good time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been doing a lot of promotional work lately, being on the TV and radio and all sorts of things like that. For your I mean, that's for the.
You're good. Go ahead. What's up?
No, I was gonna say it's all for the music video you guys recently did. And so what's it been like doing all these different promotional things? I mean, now you're on the podcast, like I said, radio and TV prior to this.
Really fun and stressful. You know, well, like, because like this is the first time I feel like we've put in work on a single. You know, like, and not that like we didn't previously. Nice candle. There's a candle there. Sorry. But essentially, it's the first time we actually have been working with somebody to try to like generate some kind of hype for it. And it's been fun because the video is essentially me living out my childhood dream, man. Like when I was super young, I used to backyard wrestle with my cousins, and we were talking about this, and we would like do storylines and screw each other over for the title and do all these things. And so actually doing it in like a video has been it was so fun. And we owe a lot to our boy Emil. Our friend Emil is helping us like put together like the ad campaign and how we're gonna like push it, as well as Joe Gibbs for doing the video. Like he did an amazing job with the video.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, the if anybody wants to look it up, go to YouTube and search Eugene Levy Band. It'll be the first return on there, and then check out their new music video. It's titled "I'm Like Mankind in the Way That I Never Said I Quit." And for people that aren't wrestling fans, you're probably just like, neat, interesting title. And for people that are wrestling fans, we know all too well exactly what that means. Mankind never said I quit.
Do you know which? Do you know the match I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the one where it's one at like King of the Ring when he got hit in the head with a chair like 900 times.
I think it was like Royal Rumble 19.
That's what it was.
Something.
Yeah.
Because I watched it before I named it because I wanted to make sure I was naming it for the right thing, and like it was him versus The Rock.
Yep.
And gosh, man. And he was only supposed to get hit 3 times, I think. He agreed to like 3 chair shots, but he got hit like 8 or something. It was nuts.
Yeah. If anybody wants to watch why there's so much prominence in the professional wrestling world and CTE and them trying to stamp it out, look at that match. That's why. That match was brutal, dude. I mean, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it made the most sense for the song. You know, just kind of about that. And although he never said I quit, the title also makes sense if you're thinking of like mankind as in like people.
Yes.
And so I wanted it that way because it has like that deeper meaning with professional wrestling, as well as like this other meaning to people who don't know professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so yeah, I mean, so much fun doing that. you.
You know, that's actually one of the funny things because Mankind was a professional wrestler portrayed by Mick Foley, and he wrote a book, and it was, I mean, a lot of his books had titles that were like "The Real World is Faker Than Wrestling," you know, and things like that. So he always liked to show how professional wrestling, as fake as it was, paralleled a lot of things in the real world, and I mean, he's probably one of the more intelligent, I guess, professional wrestlers in that aspect.
Like, and he's like the nicest human being.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he loves Christmas. He's that kind of person who's just like a Christmas person, but no, that's like naming a song after him was really fun because I was just like, this is like a great human being who did a lot for professional wrestling, and I'm a nerd for wrestling, so.
Oh, that's cool. Do you still watch wrestling at all now, or?
I stopped for a while.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't like the product that WWE was putting out. I just wasn't super into it. But there's a newer company now called AEW, and I've been following that religiously.
Oh yeah.
But I've been so much so I've thought about buying some of the action figures. You know, I bought like the wrestling belt, the kid belt that they did, and it's in the video, but that one's not mine. It's actually Nick Himes, our bass players, because he likes wrestling too.
Oh, nice.
So like every pay-per-view, I'm like, hey, come over to my house. We'll get drunk, eat pizza, and watch this pay-per-view.
Oh, cool.
You know?
Reminds me of being a kid, man.
Yeah, and that's what makes it fun, man. Like, it's got that. It's very childlike to like watch it and just enjoy it, and AEW is doing a good job, I think. Our friend Sam Kester, who's in the video, actually, he's the manager of Dennis, who's the guy fighting the music video. He would he has a different opinion than me, but I love him. He's a beautiful man.
So you said Dennis was the guy you were fighting in the music video, is that?
Yeah.
Where'd you find him at? He's I mean, like a big stacked dude you're fighting in the music video.
You're the second person that like can tell like his stature from the video that I know of. Like, that dude's a fighter.
I was wondering, dude.
Like, he's a legit, like, I'm pretty sure he's a legit boxer. And there's a part of the video where he's punching my stomach, and he's doing it actually very lightly.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually hitting me in the stomach, and I was like, this dude could murder me, man. and I kept making jokes during the whole video shoot, being like, okay, I'm gonna push you. Just know it's not serious because you could kill me. You know, I was just joking with him, and he was so fun to work with. Honestly, I think his performance in the video really makes that video. Like,
I mean,
like, it's such a good performance that Dennis did.
he looks very serious. Like when you said he could beat you up, it's not even serious. Like you could see it in his face a little bit. It's like, oh, this guy could definitely just one punch me if he wanted to. The guy's insane. I mean, I love the fact that you incorporated professional wrestling into the music video as well, not just the title too. You know, I mean, you went whole hog with it. I mean, it's not like you guys went pyrotechnics in the whole 9 yards, but it is some of the best production I've seen in a music video from an Iowa band. So
well, Joe Gibbs has always done great work. He's done, I believe, every video that Levy has done. He's done every one of them.
Cool.
And with this one, the fun part, putting together like the match and everything, we weren't sure what we were gonna do. Mm-hmm. Like, we went in and I had this basic concept of where I'm losing and then I win, right? Mm-hmm. But then it's like, how do we get there? And we're not professional wrestlers. Like, we've never gone to wrestling school. None of us did, and we just made it up as we went. At the end, there's a lot of things happening, mm-hmm. because at that point I was feeling pretty good because I was drinking a good amount of Busch Light, and we were just I just threw out so many ideas, and luckily they all made it in there. Even the chair shot was so cool at the end, because the guy who actually does the chair shot, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he actually owns that boxing ring in that place that we were at.
Oh, cool.
And so it was cool because he got to come in with a chair and hit Dennis, and gosh, man, it was so fun. so fun.
I've shot a couple music videos, and I'm not like the best at shooting music videos, but I do it just kind of as something for fun, just to see if I can pull it off. But I know what you're saying, where someone's like, I've got this idea, let's shoot this. And then, like, when you come down to it, you're like, well, we did 58 takes of a 3-minute song. Like, we got to cut some stuff out here, you know? And
and what's really cool is Joe Gibbs did a really good job of, like, just putting it together and helping us like push through that story. Because like I said, when we got in the ring to do it, we didn't know what we were gonna do. We just had to think about what we could do and what we couldn't. I don't think it's any surprise that like the parts of the video where like there's like contact are sped up and there's like flashes, and those are because like obviously I don't know how to take a real hit or like take a bump or whatever. But yeah, Joe Gibbs really helped us like push through it, and like literally everybody in the video had so much fun doing it, and I think that shows through it for sure.
Yeah.
Man, such a good time.
Oh man, I bet. I mean, it really definitely shows that you guys enjoy doing what you're doing, and you guys have like an air of professionalism about you. But like, you can also tell in the music videos that you guys are just fun-loving dudes, and enjoy, the music that you're making.
Well, and the fun part was doing the I would call it like in quotation marks the promo part, where I'm like talking with where I'm like essentially singing the song to Dennis, and it's like super like in your face, and it was so funny because at one time what I was trying to do while shooting that was seeing if I could make him laugh. Laugh once, and obviously that didn't make the video, but like I was just being goofy, and man, it really is me living like a childhood dream of being in a wrestling match, and it's the closest thing I'm ever gonna get to like being a champion in wrestling. So it's so fun.
Do you ever hit up any like independent wrestling shows or anything like that?
I haven't lately because of like COVID and things.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing was my friend TJ Wilt, he who was in the band Moonlighting that I was talking about earlier, and was actually the guy standing in front when that whole story happened. He's going to school right now to be a wrestler.
Oh, cool.
Like he's taking the time to do that. He's right now, I think he's under the name Mason Reaper.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm not like it's gonna be really cool. And so I know a little bit about that dude, and it's so funny because right before we dropped the video, he messaged me and was like, "We should do a wrestling video." And then like he texted me after the video dropped and was like, "I didn't realize you were putting out a wrestling video."
Great
yeah.
minds think alike, man.
But other than that, like he's my only dude that I know of like on the independents, or not. He's not there yet, but he's training to try to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But at one other time, I don't remember what it was, but at my hometown in West Liberty, my friend Michael Torres and I went to like an independent wrestling match, which is where the song title "Use Your Body as a Weapon" was created.
Oh, cool.
Because a lot of these stories are I got drunk and did this, but I was drunk while watching this match, and I just yelled like "Use your body as a weapon" at the wrestlers, and like some people gave me dirty looks, but I'm like, this is a good time. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we have like two titles now that have something to do with wrestling.
Dude, I used to love going to independent wrestling shows, even down there in like Scott County. They got Scott County Wrestling. That's one of the promotions down that area. I always used to love making the long drive down there to go enjoy those shows. And I don't know, I've been a professional wrestling fan most of my life, and like you, I've kind of steered away from it as of lately because the product is kind of odd. It's different. It's not that it's bad, but like I'm not a huge fan of the mixing the professional wrestling into a movie,
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's something different, but it's also a little bit like, I don't know about this, and like I said, nothing against it. And it's just is what it is. But I've been a wrestling fan on and off for years. And I used to go to all those local shows down in the Des Moines area. And they used to run them up here near Algona and stuff. So I totally get the love for professional wrestling. And, I was actually going to ask you, like, you were at was it the Muscatine Boxing Club is where you recorded the video at?
Yeah, I believe so.
Dude, that's really cool. Like, how did you end up finding a place like that to record it at? I mean, I'm sure.
Literally everybody who was involved in that video, minus the band, was all found out like through Brian, our not me third person. I love saying that. But Brian Taylor, our guitarist, he found everybody. Literally, like I told him like the rough idea of the video. Let's do a wrestling video. And he understands wrestling a little bit too because he watched it growing up. And then he found all these people and did all the work for finding them.
Oh, it's crazy cool.
So I have zero credit in finding those people because I did not know them until the day of the shoot.
How do you guys think up the concepts for these music videos? Is it just something where you got like a really basic idea and you just throw it out there and it's like, yeah, this one we could do something with this, and then everyone just kind of throws their hat in the ring and sees where it goes? Or
Well, I think like the first thing is like I think the majority of the pushes of ideas have come, I think, from me, because like I write the lyrics, or usually I write the lyrics. There's only been like maybe one song that I know of where I didn't write the lyrics for.
mm-hmm.
And so I usually take what is like the spirit of this song, right? And then I think I'm a very imaginative person. Like I read a lot of comics, I read a lot of books, I do like things that kind of exercise my imagination, and I never really grew out of that like thing where I stopped thinking about these things. And so they usually come from my brain somehow. Because I think about our music video, Every Band Needs a Revos.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, well, we just kind of started with the question, what would we do if we won the lottery?
Oh.
And because that's kind of what the song's about, right? And so mine was like, I buy a brewery, enjoy beer. Cameron's was, I go and buy all the guitars and at the shop. Nick's, I think, was something like buying things off of Amazon, just putting things in his cart. And then I can't remember if Brian had one or not, because I haven't seen the video in a while. But yeah, it just kind of starts with that basic thing. So when it came to this one, it was like, all right, let's do a wrestling video because it has a wrestling title and it's talking about like, take turns swinging at me. So let's do a wrestling video. And then we knew we wanted to do something a little bit different, because a lot of the wrestling videos I've seen are in a boxing ring like ours,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have a lot of wrestling in them.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, at least what I've seen. Besides, like the Wonder Years did one where there's like an actual wrestling thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kind of spurred from that, and then it's like, let's do this whole thing with like bad guys and good guys, where the good guy somehow wins these belts. And the belt, the other belt that's not the AEW belt, was actually a WCW belt, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was signed by a bunch of wrestlers like Kane and stuff, like, and it was actually the fantasy football league for Brian, the other Brian. He has a fantasy football league where the winner gets that belt.
Oh, cool.
And so they were really nice to us and let us use the belt. And yeah, and it was just a really creative idea. Just let's do a wrestling thing. And when we got there, it was just ideas started flowing, and it was just, I don't know. It's just kind of where we just kind of make it up. I don't know.
It's not easy to come up with a concept for a music video. Like, regardless of how simple the concept is, it's not always easy because you have like 3-ish minutes to tell like a small generalized story, because you can't get too in depth in that amount of time, but you got to get deep enough to give them something to go off of,
For sure. And like we already have. There's one idea we have. I'm not gonna like explain it, but there's an idea we had for a music video that we're still kind of keeping in our back pocket for like the right song or the right thing. And then there's a song we're working on. Right now we're just calling it a love song because that's what it is. That I just recorded yesterday, the vocals to, and I already kind of have an idea flowing for that song.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of comes with the songs, I think, and like, I don't know. It's always fun doing a video and doing them with Joe Gibbs. Like, I can't shout him out enough, dude. That dude, he just lets us run wild, tries to make our vision, and usually it's pretty chaotic, and then it somehow gets put together because he is just a wizard at putting it together.
Well, shout out to Joe. Was it Joe Gibbs?
Yeah, Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs.
I think on Facebook it's Joe Gibbs Photography.
All right.
But he also does photos. He's done band promos for us too, and
Dang.
like I could shout out a lot of people right now. I probably shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, well that's what it always is. Once you start shouting out people, you get 10 or 15 in there, and you're like, well, you forgot these people and those people.
And that's what I'm afraid of doing. So I'm gonna try to keep it on the same thing.
I was thinking about how you were talking about how you went from a band that was a little bit more, I would say sad, was like what you kind of described it as. Now you're playing in a pop punk band, which are notoriously like upbeat and positive sounding. But I will have to say that pop punk music, like lyrically, is not always like happy-go-lucky, dancing elbows from side to side, like, yay, like, this is so nice, even though it sounds super happy, it's not always the happiest music. So, like, was it like a nice, easy, smooth transition for you to go from one band to the next, or?
the thing was, so like my biggest fear with Levy when we started was that people would come up to me after we played and go, I like your old band better than your new band.
Oof,
Like,
yeah.
and it's just like scary to me. But now I've kind of come into the fact that I've had a few people say that to me, and like it still means a lot to me that my music made enough impact that they like something I did, But I wanted Levy to really stand on its own compared, and that's why like it was a very big switch lyrically on that at that time, was to like, let's show them that I can have a good time because like everything else was so sad. And in doing that, I feel like Levy kind of like stood on its own, and it set us apart from my old band very quickly. And that was the intentions for sure. And that's what's so funny is because so now that Levy's known as like this fun drinking band, we're like switching back a little bit on the newer stuff,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of exciting because like now I can explore other things again because now Levy stands on its own. People know Levy as its own entity and not an extension of my old band.
Yeah, I will have to say, like I've only been in a few bands in my lifetime, but I have had like the unfortunateness of being in a band that was kind of like the second version of another band, and it's not like it's the second version, but they're close enough where people were like, you would hear it at crowds like, dude, if you like these guys, you should have seen them 10 years ago when they were these guys, and it was
Yeah.
like, and it's, I mean, I know they're not saying that to be hurtful or anything, but it's kind of like you're just kind of like, ah, man, like it's just one of those weird things. So it's so cool that you had the ability to create something that stood on its own, that was a completely original beast all on itself, and now you can use it as your like ticket to explore even more new stuff.
Yeah, cause like what it was is like my old band when we finished our last recordings and stuff. I was playing in an open tuning. Like I was really into like I think Midwest emo would be like the term.
Okay.
Very twinkly open tuning stuff. And so what was really cool is like when we started started Levy, I was like, well, let's go back to power chords. Let's go back to 3 chords and 4 chords and bands that I love. Like right now I've been really big on Midtown again, but like just going back to like this early 2000s sound, and then it helped us set apart from that, and then going into like the newer stuff that we're doing. We wrote, I think 2 EPs and 2 songs that are like centered around like having a good time and drinking. And I felt like if we were to do that again, people would just get bored. I mean, I knew I was getting bored. And
I
so
mean,
that's why like the shift changed, or like why we're changing a little bit.
yeah, and I get it too, totally. Because like if you start doing as a band, like just leaning so hard one direction, eventually you're going to become a caricature of yourself.
And it makes me happy though that people associate Levy with drinking beer and having a good time. And that's like, and I think that should still be the like premise of the band. I don't think, although like the lyrics might get a little more serious, I think we should go up there and like still try to just look like we're having, or not even look, just literally have the time of our lives. And yeah, man, I don't know, I enjoy it a lot.
So the music video is available on your YouTube channel. Like I said, it's easy to find. I'm pretty sure you can even just Google Eugene Levy Band, and the
Yeah.
YouTube channel's in one of the top searches. So it's definitely there. Do you guys have any, or have you been playing any shows like since COVID, or like?
We played one, and I felt weird about it. The guy who ran it, actually, it was an outside venue and everything, and it went really well. But I felt really weird about it. I'm like personally hoping we don't play any more shows right now. I just want to stay low, focus on writing music, putting out music videos, and like just doing weird creative things. That's what I'm hoping we can do.
I feel like you're on the right path. There's like, as far as I'm concerned, there's only a few paths a lot of musicians can take right now, and that's play because nobody wants to play, and you're going to get easy bookings and easy money. Or the other option is to stay at home and work on what you're going to be doing when you can play. So like those are the 2 big options, and obviously the third
Yeah.
one is just to be lazy and sit around, which I don't know. We all want to do that, and I got to be honest, I'm pretty good at it. But like, but seriously,
Well, I feel like as musicians though, like we have this like urge, to like create,
mm-hmm.
and like I don't think there's a day that doesn't go by where I don't pick up the guitar or I don't like write down a word or like a phrase or anything. Like I'm always creating, and it's like if we like I don't know if I didn't do that I don't think I could sit still, you know.
Yeah.
And so like during this time that I'm at home all the time is like it's been really good for my guitar playing. and really good for my lyric writing because I'm just writing everything and just doing as much as possible, doing as literally as much as creating as I can. And that's what the other guys are doing too in the band. They're just creating, and it's been a good creative time, I think.
Yeah, it's good that you're not squandering your opportunity during this too to do that.
I'm really thankful, and like right now we're finishing up an EP. So I got I think 2 more songs to do for that.
Oh, cool. So is this new song going to be on that EP?
Yes.
Awesome.
We have yet to figure out the title of it. Because we have the collection of songs and what we're gonna do. We have yet to figure out what it is. But I'm sure it'll be a short title because all of our song names are so long. It made me so happy hearing you say the title of our song because I'm like, man, it's like a paragraph. Which is intentional as well. But actually, even going into that, man, like the reason I like long song titles. I just think they're fun.
Yeah.
Like I think of like Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy songs, and like they all have these really elaborate song titles. Like our lawyer made us change the name of this song so we won't get sued.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so cool about the song titles is like you can say a little bit, like you can make them about the song or as little about the song as possible, but just have this small piece of it work.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about bands with like long titles, and God, one came to mind. Oh, like Less Than Jake would have been one of them that did it back in the day a lot. They had like almost full sentences for titles, you know, and
I love Less Than Jake.
Dude, I think that. Go for it.
Well, like the thing was like I just finished up like it's really funny because like going back to like putting out all this promotional material for this new video. Although we dropped the song yesterday, I was in the studio finishing up vocals, and so I didn't even get to like sit and enjoy like the things happening. I had to go right back into like recording, and we just recorded, or I just finished up the vocals for a song, and this is going to be the name because I've said it on a couple podcasts. I just love this title. It's called if there's a Guinness Book of World Records for holding grudges, or if there's a world record for holding grudges, I'd be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And it's a fun title for like such an angry song.
Do you think it's like an easy transition? I guess I don't know your other band, but you think it was an easy transition to go from, going from what an angrier band would be? I'm assuming you guys did a little bit more, and this is totally a guess, but I'm guessing a little bit more like, I want to say yelling, but not quite screamo, but somewhere in...
we were still like a pop punk band, kind of.
No way.
Yeah, but we were just like near the end of it. We were very modern pop punk kind of thing. Like,
okay.
We were taking a lot of modern influences. And my best friend was in that band with me, and we were just near the end. We were really influenced by the twinkly Midwest emo, and so like we were doing this weird like fusion of like emo pop punk thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so transitioning into this band was different because we were like, well. I was like, let's just go back to power chords. And that automatically made a different sound because I was playing these like open chords in the other band.
Mm-hmm. And
so it made it very, very different. The hardest part for me was like just trying to not write about being sad.
Yeah.
You know? And now what's funny is we're going back to writing more serious stuff. And like, I'm doing okay at 26. And so I'm like, what am I sad about or what am I mad about? And trying to hone in on those things. And like, it's kind of almost hard now.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought that too about like pop punk guys. And I recall, and I'm not trying to crap on any pop punk guys, but I remember going to see Goldfinger when they were like in their 40s, you know, or whatever. And they were like singing songs that were like, these are problems kids have in their early 20s. Like, why are you still singing these songs? But at the same rate, like they wrote it when they were in their 20s. But some pop punk bands do have that thing where they're like in their 40s and they're still writing songs about like, man, my mom's mean and she won't let me wear my favorite hat out, and it's like, wait a second, like.
Well, my favorite band's Blink-182, and they're like the kings of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're talking about relationships. I'm like, dude, you're married.
But I mean, in all honesty, like they could pull it off though. They're good enough musicians, and I mean, whatever. I don't know. I get it though. It just comes along with the genre a little bit, I think, though too. And
I take a lot of influence from this band called the Menzingers.
okay,
They're one of my favorite bands, actually. Man, I love that band. But like, I take a lot of influence lyrically from them because they are older dudes, but they're writing about the problems they're having.
okay,
You know, and I like that because like now that I'm getting like I'm 26 and I'm getting closer to 30 than I'd like to be. But like now that I'm getting closer to there, like it's comforting to me that there's at least a band out there that's not writing about being in high school in their 30s, and it makes me go, okay, since I'm 26, I can write about being a 26-year-old and not write about these other things,
Yeah, definitely.
And that inspires me a lot to just focus on, well, what's going on with me now, and like what makes it different than when I was like 20, and like and so yeah, like that band really helps, I think, get me to write about what's going on currently, as opposed to like being like, I love a girl and she doesn't like me. Like, I've been in the same relationship for 5 years.
She's just sitting out the crowd like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I know. I was writing a love song and trying to take liberties with it, and I'm like, man, I can't write about like certain things because like I've been in this relationship for 5 years. I can't, like, I don't want to lie. I'm like,
Well, I don't know. I also think about it like a comedian. They're just like, well, I was at, Taco, John's the other day. And it's like, no, you weren't. Like, I was down at the DMV 2 weeks ago. Like, no, you weren't, But at the same rate, you're just like, just go along with it. Suspend the disbelief for just a little bit and go for it, And
Yeah. And that's something I'm trying to get into too, is like being able to like tell a story that's not completely personal. Because I've always, I guess, had this thing about my lyrics where like I'm just personal enough to get you like to feel a little uncomfortable, and just personal enough to like get you to like get what I'm getting at. I guess I don't know. My best friend said that to me once. I'm like, that's kind of true.
Do you think it's more difficult to like? Would it be more difficult to sing somebody else's lyrics and still have all the emotional attachment?
Well, yeah, we did a song on our first EP called Sundays Are for Rallies. And it was the first song we released as a band, and our drummer wrote those lyrics, except for like I think the second verse. I wrote the second verse. But like I was able to connect with it. It was kind of interesting because I told him like the concept we're a drinking band, and he just wrote like this entire song, almost like the entire melody too, I think. And just gave it to me, and for some reason I was able, like, it was the first time I was singing somebody else's lyrics, and I connected with it. It's almost like you find your own connection in it, and it might not have been exactly what he was thinking of when he wrote it, but I was able to find like my own connection in doing that. And so that's always nice, I think. And actually, like, I think now is the time to say it. My girlfriend writes some of my lyrics for me.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. Going back to comedians, Jim Gaffigan's wife helps him write some of his stuff, and he's like one of the best. So,
well, the thing is, like, I'll be sitting there singing something, and she'll be like, "That's lame." I'll be like, "Well, how can I make it not lame?" And she'll be like, "Oh, well, maybe try this." And I'm like, "Okay." Or she'll give me a word, and so like she legitimately helps me write a lot of stuff because she hears something and says it's lame, and sometimes I don't want it to be lame, and I think it's cool, but it definitely helps me a lot, like, for sure, because she really shapes it. Like, even yesterday, going to the studio, I was, like, finishing up some lyrics, and she was definitely helping me. Like, a specific one was dreaming over breakfast and coffee. I needed a word that rhymed with, I think, me. And then she's like, well, what about, like, dreaming over breakfast and coffee? And I was like, that's cool, man. I'll put that in there.
Nice.
And so things like that, She's definitely smarter than me.
That's why they're called the better half. No, I don't. Oh man, so let's see here. What else we got to talk about? Friggin' guitar. You played guitar? Did you play guitar in your last band?
No, in my last band. So I started as a bass player actually, My best friend, when we were kids, he was like, "Hey, get a bass so we can start a band." And I was like, "Okay." And my uncle bought me this bass, even though he had to call his uncle or I think it was his cousin, and he was like, "I don't want to buy him this bass and have it sit in the closet years later."
Uh-huh.
And so my uncle bought me like this shitty $300 bass, which I still use and have to this day.
Nice.
But like that kind of started my journey on playing bass, and then my best friend and I at the time would sing in our bands together. So like I tried to learn how to sing. I don't think up until recently I've kind of learned how to sing.
Dude, your leaps and bounds better than anything I could do, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, man, I started on bass, and then for my old band Exit Emergency, we went through a lot of member changes, and so my best friend Thomas and I would just write everything. So I would write all the rhythms, and originally I played guitar in that band and started singing when I didn't feel comfortable and people just thought I should. And it's so nice to hide behind a guitar singing. It's still scary for me just to sing without a guitar, but yeah, I wrote guitar, all the rhythms for that band. And then going into this new band, I was like, all right, I'm going to keep writing rhythms and stuff. And like, I even help sometimes with the songwriting and like stuff, or like, Cameron always puts his own spin on it, but I'd be like, maybe we should try something like this chord, it's not chord, well, it's probably chord structure. And then I'd be like, oh, well, let me try this with it. And so like in our songwriting, I play like a good part, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I love playing guitar. I just recently was able to buy a new guitar because I used to own a Epiphone Les Paul that was like I think a $300 guitar, and Brian, who's actually the guitarist in Levy, he accidentally broke it.
Oh no!
He like the strap block failed and he like busted the neck a little bit, and then so just recently I was able to buy like a it's not a Fender, it's whatever the off-brand Fender is, but it's
Squire.
Yeah, I think it was a Squire Telecaster.
Cool.
And I've always wanted a Telecaster, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So no, man, I love playing guitar, even though I don't get much past like power chords and whatnot.
That's really, I mean, I am case in point evidence that that's the basis of all you really need, to be honest. I mean, I do go a little bit deeper than that, but I lean hard on the power chords, and it works out pretty well.
Well, and like I know how to make like bigger chords and things like that, but I don't know, man. Something about a simple power chord, like works. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes back to that like pop punk. That's what a lot of those guys were leaning on too. You'd have one dude playing rhythm, just leaning heavy on power chords, and the other guy might be doing like open chords and a little bit of leads or something, you know.
And that's what makes it just so fun, man. Like, and Cameron's really cool because he brings like this more metal background, so he'll play some like bigger chords sometimes, and it's always good because he takes what I'll give him and he'll make it his own, and then we put together whatever a Levy song is, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's pretty wild that you play guitar but not really in either of the bands, you know, that you were in.
Yeah, well, like I always do at the beginning, and then I'm like, and like I just think there's a different. It has a lot to do with like stage presence, and like when you have a guitar, you're confined to like this space because you're just singing into a microphone that's on a stand, and if you're just singing, you can actually move around. Although that terrifies me.
Dude, I guess I never thought of it like that. Like, it's cool to see people doing it all, you know, playing the guitar and the leads and standing there and singing. But the microphone, if you're playing guitar, you can't move the microphone. No. So
and you can't. If somebody's singing, you can't, you know, put the microphone in their face because you're sitting there playing guitar.
True.
And so like the logic was, I saw all the pop punk bands that I was liking at the time, and they're all older now, which makes me feel really weird.
Yeah.
At the time, they were like new and like the hot thing, and they were all just singing and they weren't playing guitar, and so I was like, maybe I should try that, and it still terrifies me.
Yeah.
I hate it because like right before we play, I'm always drinking like a beer really quickly, and I'm not facing the crowd until we start playing. But once we hit that note, like I feel like a lot of musicians, once you hit your first note of the set, it's like just something switches and you're just in you know, show mode.
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
something.
dude, definitely. When you get on stage, it's like you forget everything else that was going on. You could have the most important pressing things to take care of, and as soon as you're on stage, that's what you got to think about, otherwise it's just not going to happen. So it's kind of fun to have that ability. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and somebody was talking about that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I mean, this bad thing happened. I think somebody in their family had died, but they were like, well, I mean, you just go on stage and you do it, and as soon as you're out there, you forget everything ever happened, and then, I mean, when you're done, you go back and you're like, oh, this sucks again. But at the same time, like, that's a nice escape to be able to go up on stage and do that, though, as terrifying as it is.
Yeah, well, the reason I say terrifying is I just think not having a guitar is terrifying while I'm singing or talking, because it's like I can't make noise. So if people are tuning, I have to talk. And
Yeah.
Like, what do I talk about? Like, so the show we did, all I did was talk about my dog because I just got a dog. So that's literally all I did on stage. And I think people enjoyed that. Like I was just like, man, I have a dog. She's somewhere out there. I'm worried about her because she's not pooping, but it's all good. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. So you don't have too many upcoming shows then. We kind of sort of covered that one there, and that's going to be the way it is. If anybody wants to check out anything Levy, I'm going to say it again, go to the YouTube and check out that music video. There's other music videos there. You guys are one of the very few bands that has been consistent with making and putting out music videos, and I really appreciate that because, let's all be honest, that's time and energy and money out of your guys' pocket for free entertainment on our end. And like I said, if it's not enough that you and other bands are putting their music on like Spotify and things like that, like now you're making music videos for everybody for free. That's so cool. I mean, it's so cool. And
the thing is, like, I feel like people want a visual medium. Like,
yes, yes.
Like they want that visual, and like what's cool is you get to express, other things. Like the Reeboks video, we got to like, make up the story about living our mini dreams about winning the lottery, and this wrestling one, like I said earlier, like I literally got to live a little kid dream where I wanted to be a wrestler, and like we get to do that, and like what's cool is like I think it resonates because people can feel that, and like it gives them a deeper connection, I think, to the songs, like because the videos have just a sliver enough about, like the videos are just the right amount about the song or like have to do with the song, and so it gives it like this deeper meaning. And man, I know I love videos. Every time my friends drop videos, I'm always on it.
Yeah,
I love watching them.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Audible Farm goes, I made a YouTube playlist, and I've been tossing music videos in there from Iowa bands when I find them. So if there's any Iowa bands with music videos, send them my way. We'll pop them in the playlist. I just put yours in there yesterday when it dropped. So
thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
It's also fun to see people put out music videos, do the promotion for it, and then I mean, obviously, like I've got my own YouTube channel and my own podcast and stats and all this nonsense to check out, but I always like peeking at other people's stats. And you guys are not quite, but you're closing in on 1,000 views in a day on that music video on YouTube.
That's good. That's good. Like I have personal goals, and my personal goal is always 100 is the first goal. And once we hit 100, usually 100 is in a day, like when it comes to streams and things, and then like my next goal is 1,000. And usually we get there, and which is really nice and awesome. Like anytime like my video reaches 1,000, or one of our videos reaches 1,000, I'm like, okay, we did it. People like it. It's good.
Yeah.
Like and I was checking on that Living Local, like the specific, like because we did that TV thing with the Living Local, and I was viewing that based off of like other like things they shared, and I was really flattered to see that it got a lot of shares and it got a lot of views compared to like other ones, and it just kind of like goes to show like how awesome like the Eugene Levy family is and the people who support us are, because like I think the views, like if I watch that video 1,000 times, it's not going to show up. Like it has to get to new viewers, and it has to do that, and like they share it, and that's what makes me so stoked, is just seeing like all the homies share the video and seeing people like enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it shows that we're having fun and people are along for the ride,
Yeah, that is honestly one of the most important things, is to have fun, because let's be honest, if you're doing all this stuff and there's this small amount of fame and fortune and glory that you're getting, but nobody's having fun, then it's kind of like all for nothing. Then honestly,
Well, my thing is, like, if I can make money off it, cool. And if people for somehow, I don't want people to ever put me like in a fame sort of mindset. That's why like I prefer the term like Eugene Levy family instead of like fans. Like I don't like that barrier. That concept to me just it's I'm not better than anyone, just because I write songs. And there's nothing about me that makes me, I think, unique. I'm literally just like all the homies who like bands. I'm just creating some stuff, and so it's like that's why I kind of break that down. I'm just like I just want people to be my friends and be a part of the Eugene Levy family, because like the idea of fans doesn't make any sense. Well, it does, but like it doesn't to me.
no, I totally get it too, and I'm sure like I won't speak for you, but I've been on both sides of that too, where like you go somewhere and you really want to like just hit up like whoever's playing music somewhere. You're like, hey, what's going on? And like I've been on that side where like somebody has treated you like a fan and they're better than you. But I've also been on like the side where it's like I've also put the people up on the pedestal myself and been like, hey, it's so good to meet you. You're so good at this. And they're like, nah, it's all right. And they're like, no, seriously, it's so good. And they love hearing that, but like also you can't really put them too much on a pedestal. Otherwise you as the fan are like creating this separation that didn't even exist in the first place.
That's what makes it so hard. Like when I met Chad Gilbert of Newfound Glory, like I geeked out.
Oh God, I would have too. That's one of my favorite pop punk bands.
The dude is one of the best like guitarists for pop punk.
Oh yeah.
He just creates these riffs and I'm like, this is amazing and I want to be you when I grow up. No, but like I met the singer of Motion City Soundtrack and it was so hard for me not to like geek out to that guy. Or there's a band called Microwave, and I don't know those guys like super personally, but I know them. Like I recorded with I think he plays guitar for them, the guitarist of that band, and so I know them, and they've stayed at my house before. But like I still like kind of have like this fan thing to it because it's like their music is so good, and they're like touring and doing really big things.
Mm-hmm.
And whatnot, but I think a lot of the like DIY culture of touring really broke down like that idea to me, because like for a while we were just having bands nonstop stay at our house, and it was like, oh, like they're just dudes like us who need a place to stay when they're on tour,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Man,
I miss that.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I had a couple friends of mine that were really into that scene as far as like the independent touring bands and trying to give them a place to stay and kind of just hanging out with them and just being friendly with them. Because like, let's be honest, if you're a touring band and you're just in the middle of somewhere you have no clue where you're at, just having somebody be nice and give you a place to lay your head for the evening is pretty awesome stuff. So.
And you can build somehow lifelong friendships in the amount of one night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
oh man, I have so many people. I have friends in Colorado that I know I could stay at their house, like if I'm out by them. And same here, like if they're out here, like my house is always open to those people, and like I just love that, dude. I have so many friends I get to see maybe once a year.
Oh,
even less now.
Yeah, I mean that's like the cool and not cool thing about it is like you have to live your life knowing these people sort of just through social media. But even then, like had you never met them, you wouldn't even have them on your social media. So it is kind of cool to have that. And I mean, like I said, I've been through different like scenes. I've been like I did the independent wrestling thing for so long, and I've got so many guys on there that like either used to be independent wrestlers or still are, and like watching some of them, I don't want to say grow up, but watching some of them like become men and get married and have kids and a wife and a family. It's kind of cool to see that, as well as like to see the younger guys still out there wrestling and seeing where they're going and what they're doing. So like I said, making those friendships is it's a lifetime, like you said, lifetime thing, and you could just barely know these people, or they could just come through town like once every few months, and you'd be like, I know this guy, and they know you, and they're always friendly with you. So it's really cool to have that. And even as far as that, it seems like you guys and Levy have that as well. You guys seem to get along pretty well as far as a band and things like that. So we were talking lineup changes earlier. I mean, I know, everyone else knows lineup changes aren't easy, and it seems like you guys got a pretty stout lineup, and it's stuck.
Yeah, man. Well, and the vibes, right? Having Nick Hyman's back, because Nick Hyman's left for a little bit, has been really awesome, because he founded the idea of whatever Levy was going to become, and like it's just a good time, man. Like we all just love beers, some of us love wrestling a little bit, and then we all just kind of like enjoy creating whatever Levy is. I don't want to put a box on it, because I don't want to keep myself from creating something that like whatever Levy's going to do, but like whatever Levy music is, we're doing it, and it's always good, man. I love all those dudes.
Dude, I we've got just about an hour in here. Is there anything else you want to cover while we're still sitting here? It's I feel like we've covered so much. We got your new music video. If anybody hasn't found it and you don't want to type in the entire, you don't have like 30 minutes to type in the entire title on YouTube to search it. Just search Eugene Levy Band. Click on the YouTube channel, and it's right there. The title of the song is "I'm Like Mankind in the Way That I Never Said I Quit." And dude, like I said, I love everything about it. I love pop punk. I love professional wrestling, and it's just a recipe for awesomeness for me, as far as I'm concerned. So I really dug the new tune. I dug the new video and everything. And is there no upcoming shows? So make sure you watch that music video, and go to Facebook. I'll have everything in the description. Go to Facebook and give them a like, so when they do have a show, you know where to go.
Yeah, man. I guess like the only thing I can think about like talking about is like the newer stuff we're doing is changing. Like I said a little bit. Like our earlier songs were all about drinking and having a good time, which is I think the core part of this band, and I will never shy away from that. The newer stuff we're writing is just a little bit more serious and kind of about like what's going on in my world, or like kind of somebody in our band's world, and just kind of like expanding upon that. Like the new single we just did, the Mankind song, which I can't remember what we have a nickname for it. I think we just call it Mankind, because we don't want to say the whole title. but and the best part is seeing those on set list, because we have to shorten them because they're not going to fit. But like it's been cool, because like with that song I really got to explore just the way life has been, I think, I even addressed like the second verse was really fun to write, because I addressed growing up getting food from churches.
Oof.
And I didn't realize people for me that was the norm, being really young, up until I was about 12. I was getting food from churches, and then realizing that some people hadn't experienced that was weird.
Yeah.
Oh, and like just different, not necessarily weird, but different. And so that's what was just so fun about this song, is like I got to explore like some of my younger years, as well as like just life. And that's yeah, man, I love it. I love that song.
Yeah. It's a good tune, dude. It's a really good tune. I dig everything. I dig everything you guys are doing. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm a little late to the party on the music video. Like by the time this podcast comes out, it's already been released, and like I said, it's nearing 1,000 views after just 24 hours as of the time we're recording this. So you guys already did radio promotion and TV promotion, and now you got another podcast under your belt here to talk to. I talked to Cameron previously. He was such a cool dude. Now you're such a cool dude. I've never seen you play live. That's like my new goal. If not for 2020, now for 2021. I got to see you guys live sometime. If nothing else, book a show with you. So
I was gonna say we gotta play a show together then. Man.
It's the easiest way to guarantee it's gonna happen.
The only way you get to see Levy now is if we book a show together. That's the only way.
All right.
Allowing you to come to a show.
I drive all the way to Eastern Iowa, and it's like, no, you're not on the show. Get out of here.
Man, do you guys got? I know this podcast has some merch. Does your band have some merch?
Yeah, we got some merch.
You have to float that my way, man. I'll have to see whenever I get paid next, so I can scoop something up, man. Like my favorite thing to do is push up all the homies while we do it.
Yeah, dude.
Like in the music video for Revos, I wore my friend's band Manhattan Blockade.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't heard of them, they're so fucking good. They're such a good band. And then in the current music video we just did, I was repping The Boys Loves Blind.
Mm-hmm.
Sick band, such a good band. Right now I'm repping the boys in 5 a.m.
Oh, cool.
So I need to get one of your band's shirts so I can rep it.
Dude, I'm all about it too. I mean, I've got a band shirt on too, Blue Ribbon Ramblers. So I'm all about it. I love having band T-shirts. I mean,
Gotta rep homies, man.
dude, yeah. I mean, if some of it is like, if we don't support them, if your peers won't support you, then it's kind of a rough game to be playing. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So,
Yeah, man. Well, and it's like we're all just creating, man. Like, I don't think there's such a thing as like another band being better than another. It's just like we're all just creating. So let's uplift one another and like just put like the more we push each other up, the better it's gonna be. I think. And so like as many times as I can, I try to rep all the homies and just get hype.
yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things I loved about the pop scene or the pop punk scene as far as like the early 2000s. There was tons of that going on. You'd always see like there's 5 guys in this band and they're all wearing somebody else's shirts, and like I always loved that, and I felt like Iowa was big enough as far as musically where if everybody that was in a band like joined together and then just like picked one band out and been like those guys, they're the best. And then we all just like leaned as hard as we could on them and been like, this is the best band in Iowa. We could easily, I feel like, lift a band out of the ashes and just present them to everyone else in the United States or beyond, and be like, check this out. This is something really cool coming out of town.
I feel like that's what the Eugene Levy family did for us with the Bayside contest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you're like familiar with that at all.
No.
So we did, I talk about this a lot, but it's because like, it truly showed me a lot about how like our friends and family and everyone just really supported us. Oh man, I gotta get a drink. So Bayside, when they released their record, I believe it was in Terabang.
Okay.
That was either a song or that was the name of the album. But anyways, they were going on this tour and it was a smaller venue tour, and they released a contest where it's like, oh, if we're playing your city, we're gonna have a battle of the bands where like you post your song and people vote for you. And so since there wasn't any in Iowa because nobody likes Iowa except for Iowans, which is me. I love Iowa. But there was a Chicago date, so we like threw our name in the hat because why not?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were like maybe the only Iowa band going for the Chicago date. And so we had like a bunch of people roll out and vote for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it was like a daily thing. They would wake up and we'd post it and then they'd vote for us again. And we beat out like a bunch of Chicago bands, and some of those bands are like really good and like bands that I enjoy. And so that really showed a lot to me, man. Like I'll never get over that. Like being able to play a sold out show in Chicago with Bayside.
That's awesome.
Like, it had to do with our music, yeah, but it had more to do with like the people who like supported us.
Mm-hmm.
And, like we owe everything to those who support us, literally. Whether they stream us once a month or all the time, we owe everything to them, because we wouldn't be able to like do things like that or print new merch if they didn't buy merch already.
True that. I mean, yeah, otherwise you're playing empty bars and making merch that nobody's buying. And yeah, I mean, it'd be a rough game if nobody came. So,
and so we're really, really lucky because like we just got so many people backing us, and hopefully we're doing right with them and helping lift up our other homies in the same thing.
Dude, I think you guys are doing a great job. You're doing great things over there in the Eugene Levy camp. So keep it up. That's all I got to say. Is there anything else you want to add to this podcast? We've eclipsed an hour. That is the way you do it.
I can't think of anything else other than you're beautiful.
Me personally, or all the listeners?
You are beautiful.
Woo!
Yeah. Yes, if you're listening to this, you're equally as beautiful, especially if you made it to this point.
Yes.
Ramble this long. No, man, thank you so much for letting me be on this, man. It means a lot. I saw Cameron's, like I said, I listened to Cameron's interview, and I was like, man, I'd like to do that. And then I got a message, and I was like, oh man, I get to do that.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I saw you guys posting the new music video. I'm like, I got to talk to somebody about this. And I already had Cameron on. I was like, Cameron, who should I talk to next? He's like, well, hit up Brian. I'm like, all right, sounds good. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, man. Other than that, man, like, shout out to all my friends. I would name every single band, but I can't because then I'll miss this band.
Yeah.
Except I will say, be on the lookout for a band called Say Days Ago. That's
Okay.
like my best friend's band. And I've heard their new EP, and it's amazing. You haven't heard their new EP, obviously. Nobody has. But God, when they drop, just be ready for Say Days Ago.
All right.
And be ready for some new Levy. And yeah, man. Also, if I can shout out another podcast, is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay. My friend Michael, I helped him start it, but then he did it because I didn't do anything with it. So it's pretty much his podcast. My friend Michael Torres does one called Beers with
Bands, man. I've hit him up.
And I have deep love for my boy Michael. So check him out. He talks to some random bands, and he even talked to a band called Charlie Siren, which hasn't been around for a minute, but they were a band from Minneapolis that has my heart. I love that band so much. But check out that, and then obviously all the bands I've said. Man, I wish there was another band I could think of right now off the top of my head. But those are the bands immediately. I've been drinking, so if I forgot your band, just know I love you. But no, thank you so much for letting me be on here, man.
Dude, it has been amazing. It's been fun to talk to you and get to know you. Like it's not always easy to talk to people about a band you've never seen live or somebody you've never met like this. But it's good to meet you. But stick tight. I'm gonna talk to you after I end the recording. But
tight.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, baby. There you have it. There's another episode in the bank, episode 107 with Brian Noel Martinez from Eugene Levy. Check out that music video. It's tons of fun. We discussed it a little bit in the podcast. And if you like that early 2000s pop punk that a lot of us grew up on, check it out. It's some of my favorite stuff. I know that for sure. Hey, while you're cruising around the internet, make sure you also check out all Eugene Levy's links. They're down below. And while you're also checking out other links, if you want to check out anything Audible Farm, go to audiblefarm.com. There's links to everything there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, places you can listen. You can even listen directly from the website if you want to. There's also links to some of our partners and other organizations that do things kind of like we do here and support the music scene. So check it out. Everything's at audiblefarm.com. We have video clips available of the podcast on our YouTube channel. Check it out, youtube.com/audiblefarm. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another video. Also, the YouTube channel, I have remodeled it a little bit, so it should be easier to find everything that you need to find there right from the front page of the Audible Farm YouTube channel. So check that out. Don't forget to subscribe if it's something you like, and I appreciate all of our recent subscribers. We've had quite an influx of subscribers, so shout out to all of you guys. Y'all are the real heroes. Also, while you're cruising the internet, if you need some Audible Farm merch, go to shop.audiblefarm.com. There's links to all of this down below. You can find all of your Audible Farm merch that you could ever want, or at least there's some merch there anyways. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's stickers. We're debating getting more of a few different types of merch. So check it out. Shop.audiblefarm.com if you guys are interested in any Audible Farm merch. And that's what we got for you this week. You guys got to check out that music video by Eugene Levy. It's tons of fun. I will be back next week with another episode. So shout out to Brian for joining me on the podcast and Eugene Levy for doing an awesome job on that music video. Also, huge shout out to everybody that's been listening to the podcast week after week. If you're a new listener, scroll back and find something else. I'm sure there's somebody else you know in the previous episodes. So shout out to all the people listening this week. If you guys are interested, check out those past episodes. Otherwise, I got to say thanks to Couchtown Coffee for supporting us every week. If you guys are looking for some coffee, check out couchtowncoffee.com. There is a promo code in the intro if you fast forwarded through it. So check that out. Otherwise, I'm out of here. We'll check you guys next week. Peace.